And just in, Britain has been thrown into a full-scale constitutional meltdown after Prince William openly defied Prime Minister Keir Starmer in a moment so shocking, so unprecedented, that even senior civil servants are calling it a direct rupture in the machinery of the state. Moments ago, the heir to the throne made a move that nobody saw coming. Not the palace, not Downing Street, not even the royal advisors who thought they had prepared for every possible scenario. And what he did has already triggered emergency meetings across Whitehall, panicked whispers in Parliament and a furious scramble inside Number 10. If you think the monarchy has stayed silent through political storms before, what you're about to hear will change everything, because this time the future king didn't stay silent. He pushed back. And the aftershocks are only beginning. It started 48 hours ago inside a private briefing room deep within Kensington Palace. According to insiders, Prince William was reviewing a confidential packet sent from senior constitutional advisors, a packet outlining Prime Minister Keir Starmer's newest reform proposal, one that had been quietly circulating through government departments for weeks. On the surface, it looked harmless. Administrative streamlining, governance modernisation, the usual political language nobody pays attention to, but buried 27 pages in beneath the legal jargon and procedural notes sat a paragraph that made the heir to the throne freeze. It referenced the monarchy, not ceremonially, not respectfully, but with wording so direct that one palisade reportedly went pale instantly. Starmer intended to accelerate discussions on the future constitutional role of the Crown, discussions that were supposed to happen slowly, cautiously and with royal consultation. But according to the leaked document, the Prime Minister planned to move ahead without the palace's approval. For William, that crossed a line. Insiders say he read that paragraph 3 times, slowly, silently, before closing the folder and asking for a secure line to Balmoral. The call between father and son lasted nearly 40 minutes, an eternity for two men who choose their words carefully. Witnesses describe the discussion as measured but heavy, the kind of conversation where history sits in the room with you by dawn the next morning. Reports were already swirling inside Whitehall, rumours of a royal intervention, whispers of a possible public response. Nervous glances from ministers who understood the gravity of what was unfolding. No one expected William to act, not really. The monarchy has stayed politically neutral for centuries. They don't confront prime ministers, they don't enter public fights, and they certainly don't contradict the elected government's constitutional agenda. But William had already made his decision. At 11:14 a.m, the Prime Minister's office issued a formal invitation for the Prince of Wales to attend a scheduled consultation session regarding the reforms, a session several ministers assumed he would decline. Instead, he accepted, and not only did he accept, but he arrived early. Cameras outside Downing Street captured him stepping out of his car with a calm, unreadable expression. No royal fanfare, no entourage. Just a future king walking into the heart of political power alone. Inside the room, tension crackled like static. Advisors shifted. Ministers avoided eye contact. Even Starmer seemed momentarily unsettled when William entered. For the first few minutes, everything remained polite, controlled, predictable, until it wasn't. According to multiple eyewitnesses, the meeting exploded into crisis when Starmer insisted the reforms were necessary to ensure modern accountability. William reportedly leaned forward, hands clasped, and replied with a sentence that stunned the room into silence. Accountability does not mean dismantling the balance that holds this country together. Those words were deliberate, calculated, and deeply symbolic. They signalled something Britain has not seen in decades, a future king drawing a constitutional boundary. What happened next? Shattered protocol. The Prime Minister pushed back, arguing that the monarchy must evolve with democratic reforms. But William didn't retreat. He didn't soften his tone. Instead, he delivered what sources describe as a direct refusal. A message so clear that civil servants immediately realised they were witnessing a historic turning point. Within 20 minutes of the meeting ending, Number 10 went into lockdown mode. A crisis communications team was activated, advisors argued behind closed doors. One senior official reportedly muttered, "If this gets out, it will ignite a fire we cannot put out." Too late. Because by 2:03 p.m, a single anonymous message leaked to the press. 7 words that detonated across every newsroom in Britain. The statement from Kensington Palace dropped at 4:11 p.m, and from the moment it appeared, the entire country knew something irreversible had happened. It was only 2 sentences long, but every word hit with the force of a constitutional hammer. The Prince of Wales will continue to uphold his duties in full accordance with the Crown's long-standing obligations to the British people. No proposed governmental action will alter or interrupt his service. That was it. No elaboration, no softening language, just a cold, unmistakable declaration of independence from the Prime Minister's pressure campaign. Analysts were stunned. Veteran journalists called it the bluntest royal pushback since the mid-20th century. And inside Downing Street, the mood reportedly shifted from irritation to outright panic. Ministers demanded clarity. Advisors warned that the phrasing implied defiance, not cooperation. One insider said the room felt like a political bomb had gone off and everyone was scrambling through the dust. But the shock didn't end there. Within minutes, leaks began surfacing from inside the palace itself. Sources revealed that Starmer had privately asked William to quietly scale back engagements, cancel walkabouts, and avoid public speeches for the next several months. All under the justification of reducing national tension. Yet the royals believed it was something else entirely. An attempt to minimise William's public influence while constitutional reforms were pushed through Parliament. The moment that leak hit social media, the narrative flipped instantly. Suddenly, the story wasn't about modernisation. It was about a power struggle, an unprecedented tug of war between an elected leader and the future King of England. Newspapers blasted emergency headlines. Commentators on live TV were visibly rattled. Call-in shows were overwhelmed with furious citizens demanding answers from the government, and by 6 p.m, a crowd had already formed outside Buckingham Palace gates, chanting in support of the monarchy. People weren't just watching a constitutional dispute, they felt they were witnessing the opening shots of a national confrontation. Then, at 7:42 p.m, the crisis escalated again. A senior civil servant, described as someone with direct daily access to the Prime Minister, contacted a major broadcaster with an anonymous tip. According to this insider, Starmer was preparing a televised address to clarify the government's position and rebalance expectations around constitutional roles. The phrase "rebalance expectations" sparked immediate fury. Royal commentators warned it sounded like an attempt to publicly reprimand the heir to the throne. Constitutional scholars insisted it would be the most aggressive move toward the monarchy by any British government in the broadcast era. And inside the palace, staff reportedly worked through the corridors with grim expressions, fully aware that the next words spoken on television could ignite a crisis the country had never experienced in modern times. But before the Prime Minister could speak, something extraordinary happened. A second royal statement, this time from Buckingham Palace, suddenly went live, and this one was far more confrontational than the first. It read, "The stability of the United Kingdom depends on mutual respect between its institutions. Any attempt to diminish that stability will be met with the full transparency owed to the public." Commentators were speechless. It sounded like a warning, a promise, and perhaps even a subtle threat that the monarchy was prepared to go public with information the government did not want revealed. Downing Street was blindsided. Advisors were said to be shouting, phones ringing non-stop, officials pacing hallways with documents clutched in their hands. One minister reportedly told colleagues, "If the palace goes fully public, this government will not survive the week." Meanwhile, inside Kensington Palace, William was said to be calm, composed and unmovable. He had made his choice, and now the machinery of the monarchy was aligning behind him. Crowds outside grew by the hour. Supporters held signs defending the Crown. Videos circulated of pensioners angry at government policies, veterans accusing the Prime Minister of overreach, and ordinary families declaring they'd had enough of political games. And when an evening poll revealed that 68% of the public supported William's stance compared to just 19% supporting Starmer, the government's internal panic intensified. Several MPs reportedly began drafting letters of no confidence. A cabinet member was overheard saying, "If this continues, we're looking at a full constitutional rupture." The seriousness of the moment was undeniable.